sentences for a felony murder conviction would be life without parole, or the death penalty.
If a person points a deadly weapon by Paul Howard at us and we can't use deadly force, but he can't have it both ways, is the taser a deadly weapon or is it not?
Back with the Fox News alert, the former Atlanta police officer who shot and killed Rayshard Brooks now facing 11 counts, including felony murder.
Those charges mean Garrett Rolfe could face the death penalty. And following that announcement, Atlanta PD says officers called out of work in high volumes. Joining us live to react, former Tucson police officer Brandon Tatum. Brandon, great to see you here. Let's break down the charges against these officers. Garrett Rolfe is facing 11 counts, including felony murder. Devin Brosnan is facing 3 counts, including aggravated assault. Brandon, what's your reaction to these charges?
I think this is a complete injustice, and everybody associated with charging these officers should be put in prison. These officers follow Georgia law. According to Georgia law, a taser is a deadly weapon. It's actually considered a firearm in the Georgia statute. So when a person points a deadly weapon at a police officer has a right, especially when they fear serious bodily injury or death, to utilize deadly force. His death was subsequent to a justified use of force. There is no way on planet Earth that these officers should be charged at all. This is an injustice, and I hope that these officers can get off and justice can be served on their behalf.
Brandon, can you talk about the split-second decision as you know, we're seeing in this video right here, you know, once the suspect in any situation resists arrest, how quick of a time period you have to make a decision and what that's like?
Yeah, it's some of it is subconscious. You're going to go off of your training. You have no time to really think about it. When you're just talking to an individual, having a casual conversation, and they begin to be so violent to the point that they try to kill you, take your taser and begin to run, you have to make a split-second decision and decide, okay, is this person continuing to be a threat to the public? Do I need to act? Do I need to act now? In what way? And when Rayshard Brooks pointed the taser and shouted at the police officer, he had to make a decision to say, look, it's either my life, I could be seriously injured or killed. This guy is so desperate, he could take my gun, so I need to act now. And that happens in a split second, and it comes basically from the form of training. And these officers were trained according to the law, and they did what they're supposed to do.
Let's talk now about Tim Scott's Justice Act that was proposed in the Senate yesterday. It really focuses on data collection, training, and transparency. House Democrats have their own sweeping reform package. They're setting it up for a floor vote. What do you think of each of these proposals?
Well, I think the proposal introduced, or at least sponsored by Tim Scott, I think was very fair. I didn't agree with everything, because I feel like once a Democrat takes office, they can manipulate some of the regulations and try to use money as leverage to make police departments do whatever they want them to do. But I thought it was fair for the most part, and I thought it was, I guess, more reasonable than what the Democrats are proposing. To completely ban chokeholds with no restrictions on it, to completely ban no-knock warrants, is absolutely ridiculous. And to eliminate the protections of police officers as they're acting on behalf of the state to protect them from being personally liable for things that they do is asinine. Democrats' form of justice reform is a big FU to police officers, and I feel like Tim Scott's justice reform is a fair and balanced bipartisan bill.
Do you think there's a middle ground to be had here, and what would that look like?
Well, I think a middle ground will start with reasonableness. We need to identify what's police brutality and what's not. Not just something that you don't want to see or that is uncomfortable to watch, but you need to find out what is actually against the law. Are these police officers acting out? And I feel like we need to filter out all of these justified shootings that have occurred throughout the years and sit down and have a conversation. That conversation looks very similar to what Tim Scott introduced, and I think I can be satisfied with what he said, and it matches on both sides. As a civilian and a former police officer, I think it's reasonable.
All right. Brandon Tatum, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.